Hey, how's it going? We've got some trig to look after first. This is Geometry, Chapter 8, Section 4. We're eventually going to be talking about angles of depression and angles of elevation, which we'll do. So we'll do two videos, one going over this little quiz, and then the second one is going to be talking about angles of elevation and angles of depression. And then we'll talk about some example problems. All right, so the first thing we need to do is we are going to go ahead and take this quiz. So we know that T, where's T? T right here is in this triangle, but yet we don't know anything else. And we have a right triangle. We have two side lengths. We have one angle, obviously the right angle. And so this is definitely a situation for some trig ratios. Hey, Anya, can you grab me a calculator, please? I need a calculator. So I'm just going to remind ourselves that we have famous Indian chief, Sohcahtoa. Sine is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. And tangent is equal to opposite over adjacent. So we don't have the hypotenuse here, which means we're definitely looking at tangent. So the tangent of angle T, does it work? That would be a no. Can you just give me not a graphing one, just a small one? Or a scientific calculator? Not that one, though. Does it have sine, cosine, and tangent on it? So the tangent of angle T is going to be equal to the opposite over adjacent, so that's 2.1 over 5.3. So I'm going to take, oh my goodness gracious, wrong calculator. All right, so now I have a calculator. So I'm going to type in 2.1 divided by 5.3, and I'll get the tangent of T is equal to 0.396, and so then I'll hit the inverse of tangent, and I'll get T is equal to 21.6 degrees. All right, so now we can use, since we have this angle, there are two ways to do this. I can do a squared plus b squared equals c squared, or I can use the trig function to find t, or v rather. But since this is about trig, let's use trig. So I'm going to go with the sine of 21.6. That's percent, I meant degrees. Is equal to the opposite, which is 2.1 over v. So do a little algebra here. I'll get v is equal to 2.1 over the sine of 21.6, or 2.1. All right, so we have 21 divided by 21.6, the sine. All right. So the sine of this is 0.368. So 2.1 by 0.368. And I will get V is equal to 5.7. All right. Now, looking for this angle, and we know that this angle plus this angle has to equal 90 degrees. So 90 minus 21.6. 1.6. And I get a grand total of 68.4 degrees for angle U. Thank you, Marcy. All right, let's take a look at the second one. All right, so this time we have one side and one angle. And this side is the hypotenuse, which is nice. So I could use let's go with cosine. we're going to go with cosine of 75 is going to equal to the adjacent, so that's y over hypotenuse. Now, I don't need to rationalize this since I'm just using the calculator here. So we're going to go with multiply both sides by the square root of 6. So we get the square root of 6 times the cosine of 75 is equal to y. And so we go 75 cosine, I'm on the calculator, which is 0.2588 times the square root of 6. And the square root of 6 is 2.45. So 2.45 times 0.2588. And we get it's equal to 0.634. So this is equal to y. All right. So we know that this angle plus this angle has to equal 90 because that's 90. So this clearly has to be 15 because 15 plus 75 is 90. Finally, for w, we can say that the sine of 75 is equal to w over root 6. So same process as here. So we want the root 6 times the sine of 75, and that will equal w. So square root of 6, we already know. I'm going to multiply that by the sine of 75. And so I get w is equal to 2.366. All right, so it's going to get a little busy, loud because kids are going to be coming in. But angle of elevation, angle of depression. So let's say that this line right here is the ground. Now we're gonna drop the fact that the Earth is round, and so it's curving, and we have a parallel line here. So the angle of depression, and obviously these are parallel. If I see an object here and I am here, I have a sight line down to here. The angle of depression is going to be this angle right here. Good morning, how are you? So that's the angle of depression. Whereas this angle here will be referred to as the angle of elevation. And since we have two parallel lines and a transversal, clearly the angle of depression is going to be equal to the angle of elevation because they are alternate interior angles. So that's sort of the big thing that we're going to be talking about today. And so we're going to have problems talking about space needles and shadows and flying and seeing objects and trying to find distances. Pretty cool problems. My goodness, Amelia's loud. Okay, so that's what we're doing for today. Hope you guys have a good time. Nice hiking boots.